Wow, it's loud. Do you have something on? John.
Yeah.
Yo, you got something on. Turn it down. You're awesome. Loud as shit.
How about now?
Yeah, better. What's up, everybody? Welcome to week 17. It's damn, John, it's the end of the football regular season. A lot of teams are done playing, but as always, y'all, my name is Drew, the DH, and with me, as always, my main man, Mr. John Newman. How's it going, bud?
Well, both of our teams are going to be golfing, so from a personal perspective, not good, but you know, with the Steelers, they were so banged up. They were just they're crawling their way across the finish line. Not particularly fun how they finished. Looked terrible today and didn't look like a team that had a chance to get in. It looked like they already didn't care too much. So that's football, as the saying goes in a lot of sports. We'll see what next year brings, but you know, there's some teams obviously that punched their ticket and they're going to the postseason.
Yeah, absolutely. Besides a little bit that has to do with seeding, which it looks like from the scores I'm seeing, it looks like seeding is pretty much wrapped up now, which we're going to get to in just a little while. But first of all, guys, please tonight, call in the show. Before we get to the playoffs, I really want to hear about you guys in the playoffs, but fans of teams that are on the show, all you got to do is click the link right there. I put it in the comments here. I'll even slide it in right now, just all by itself. You just simply click this link and follow two simple instructions on your phone, and you're on. You can be audio or audio and video, so please call in. And whether you want to brag about a team, whatever it may be, or if you want to answer our question that we have for you guys today, and that is, with the playoffs set, who is your Super Bowl favorite? And myself and Mr. Newman, we'll get to ours here in just a little later. But please, guys, call in. We love it when we get to interact with you guys. Dirks, if you're watching the show, get your ass in here, man. I want to hear some more 49ers hate before the season starts.
But, you know, whether someone agrees or disagrees, Drew, either or. We're not going to bite your head off.
No, please. What's up, Antonio? How's it going, man? Over at the Watch Party in Longest Yard, one of the best football groups around. Definitely check that group out. It is awesome. Mr. Carr, as he says, how about those Titans? Brian, my man, call in. Tell us about those Titans. If you're a Titans fan, I got some questions I actually want to ask about the Titans. Click that link and call in. But, y'all, we want to make this show as interactive as possible, as it's about to hit the off season where we hit a little bit of a lull. So please call in and join the show. But before we dive into a crazy, crazy week 17, Mr. Newman, just like I told you it was going to be, let's give everybody a quick rundown of the schedule here. Or the scores today.
All right, we had the Packers by a field goal over the line. Not a pretty game. I got to be honest with you, man. If you're a Packers fan, you can't be too excited. They're one of the ugliest number one seeds. There's a question for you. What's the worst number one seed ever in the postseason? I'm gonna put these Packers up there as a nominee.
Well, they're not gonna get the one seed because
San Fran.
Yeah, and it looks like San Fran's got this game. But anyway, you also had the Dolphins 27-24 over the Patriots. Beautiful, Mr. Newman. I told you we should have probably taken the Dolphins straight up. We said it.
I did win my pick. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Chargers 31-21 over the Chargers, locking up that home field, which is crucial, which is something I'll get to a lot later. Saints whooped the shit out of my Panthers, but damn it, Carolina. All season long, you've let me down. All you had to do was leave it at 3. I told you it was going to be something to 3 late in the game. All you had to do was leave it at 3 points so I could hit the fucking under. Thanks a lot, Carolina. Once again, you let me down. Then you had the Bills losing to the Jets 13-6. Buffalo really had nothing to really play for here. So, whatever it is, what it is. Congrats, Jets. You end on I guess it's a high note for you guys. Then you got the Bears 21-19 over those Vikings.
This was my lock.
Yeah, I knew. And what did I tell you? What did I tell you? It was gonna happen. It was gonna happen.
You were right. I got hats off to you there.
And another one that I called, the Bengals over the Browns, 33-23. I told you this Cleveland team is not built. They are not built to fight. I mean, they're not built to fight. They need guys on their team that want to fight, that want to go after it, and they just don't have it. Then you also have the Chiefs 31-21 over Chargers. You had the Jaguars 38-20 over the Colts, and probably the most surprising game today. And then you had the Eagles 34-17 over the Giants, the Falcons over the Buccaneers in overtime. Thank you guys for going to overtime to hit that over. Then you had the Ravens beating the Steelers in another shocking one to me, 28-10. 31-24 Rams over Cardinals, 35-24 Titans over Texans. Broncos spoiled the Raiders last game in ever as an Oakland team, 16-15. Then you got the Cowboys 47-16 over the Redskins, and the 49ers Seahawks game, which is going on now. So, Mr. Newman, after everything that's going on right now, we are now officially it's postseason time. So first things first that we've got to go through here is now that everything's set. I mean, it pretty much looks like it's set, but the AFC is completely set. So we'll start out right here. When you take a look at the AFC, what do you make of the AFC playoffs as we head on into it?
Well, boy, here's something you don't see a lot. You see a Patriots team that doesn't have a bye right off the bat, and may have just one home game here. Actually, they will just have one home game. That's it. And so, not a position they're used to fighting out of. I'm curious to see how that goes. You got a Tennessee Titans team that starting to figure their act out, and Derrick Henry just won the rushing title. So this isn't the pencil in the Patriots to the AFC Championship game at least type of year. At least not to me. I think you look at. Go ahead.
No. What's that?
Well, I think you look at both these wild card games. They're both going to be, to me, should be competitive games. That you can make a case probably for either side here. It'll be interesting to see what the spreads once they're released, what they look like. I'm sure the home teams will probably be favored, but I don't think by a lot of points. And
I'm going to put you on the spot right now. We're doing this. All right. We got wild card games going up. We're going to deal on Thursday. We'll talk about all of our spreads and everything because that could change everything. But looking at wild card weekend, you got two games right there, Titans and Pats, Bills and Texans. We're going to put some predictions and put them down. So who you got in those two games?
Boy, I'm gonna take the Bills. I think the Texans have just proven that they're not. You don't know what you're getting. They're inconsistent. Deshaun, I know he's played in a college national championship game, but he's never really been postseason in the NFL. Neither has Josh Allen, so I think that's a push there. But I'm going to pick a defense. I'm going to say defense wins this game. Buffalo just has the better D. So I'm going to go with Buffalo over Houston. And, man, that other game, talk about a tough game to, I don't think the Patriots, I hate to say this because we've had this conversation before. Every time you bury them, they're like Jason. They just come up out of the water, hockey mask all tattered, and start killing people and are there at the end.
Yeah.
I like Tennessee here, but I almost can't pick them because I almost feel like it's the kiss of death.
Okay.
You know,
Well, you know what?
I feel better if the game was in Tennessee. I'll say that.
All right. Well, I'll tell you right now. You might not want to give him the kiss of death. I'll give him the kiss of death. The Buffalo Bills, I'll tell you right now, the Buffalo Bills are beating the Houston Texans. And I'm going to tell you why. And it's because what's going to appear on this screen yet again, and it's what I've been telling all of you for quite a long time. Do not bet on the Texans. Ever.
Yeah.
And this isn't even just a spread. Don't bet on them. They're not worth it. You can't do it. I have no faith in this team to be able to beat a Tennessee team that, one, is going to run that ball down their throat. Unless Derrick Henry just completely disappears. Just completely disappears. There's no reason the Titans do not win this game. I have not seen A.J. Brown is definitely the rookie of the year. He needs to be. I know a lot of people say Jacobs, but this kid's been so essential to this team. He needs to win rookie of the year. But when I'm all right, we'll move on from that game. I absolutely 100% have Buffalo beating Houston for a gluttony of reasons. Now let's move on to the Titans and the Patriots. I absolutely love the Titans in this game. I do not think New England makes it out of the first round.
I like them, Drew, but here's the scary thing. You probably know where I'm going with this. What does Belichick do best?
Yeah, okay, he'll take Derrick Henry out. Okay, that's fine. He takes Derrick Henry out. The Titans have an insane passing game. I think Buffalo's going to shut Houston down so bad that Houston has no chance of doing anything. I think Houston's going to be so confused by that defense, and Josh Allen, he seems to be in that zone. I think Buffalo's going to trounce Houston, but when it gets to this Tennessee game, I think A.J. Brown's going to absolutely dominate this game. And if they want to take away A.J. Brown with Gilmore, that's fine. They've got people underneath. They've shown you all year Brown did not emerge until halfway through the season. They've got weapons everywhere. I love this Tennessee team. I said it when we started the show. If Mariota was a real quarterback, this was a dangerous team if they got in the postseason. I think they're incredibly dangerous. I think New England has I have zero faith in their offense. The only way New England wins this game, and you can quote me on it, we can play it back next week if I'm completely fucking wrong, but the only way that New England wins this game is if they jump out to a 10-0 lead in the first quarter quick. That's the only way. If they go down by 10 or more, it's over.
Yeah, I'm leaning. It sounds like we're both leaning with the visiting teams.
We are.
So here's a question. Is there any chance, like we picked them, but is Vegas going to make any of them the favorite? Or are we taking none?
That's the thing. This isn't good. These aren't our picks, obviously, because when the spread comes out, that can change everything, and I might be going with over-unders instead of spreads. I'm just talking about gut feeling on these games. And But no, I'm going with both road teams, and that's because they're the more complete teams. I mean, let's be honest. You guys out there watching, do you agree? Do you disagree? Please comment, tell us, or call in and let us know.
I know there's a lot of Patriot fans out there, so they gotta. What are your feelings? What are your feelings on this matchup?
Yeah,
tell us why we're wrong. Tell us why we're wrong.
Please, I've watched a lot of Patriot games, guys, and I know there's a couple fans out there. Lou, if you're watching, call in, brother. I know there's a lot of Pats fans out there. Somebody tell me. Somebody jump on here, call on, and explain to me how they are going to win any of these games and go to the Super Bowl. Explain to me how they're going to make it through this path, especially drawing the seed they have and not being in Foxborough past round one. I would really love for a Patriots fan, Dirks, I know you're out there, buddy. You get just somebody call in, let us know, and let me know if I'm dead fucking wrong, because I've been dead fucking wrong before. But all right, I don't want to spend too much time on this. So now, with that in mind, the NFC has a little bit left, but it all hinges on if San Francisco wins. So if San Francisco wins, this is what we're looking at. Now, when you look at this right here, when you look at this setup right here, who do you see coming out of the NFC in the wild card round?
Boy, that Minnesota New Orleans game is it's probably the game I sort of want to see the most. You got a pretty decent defense against a high-powered offense.
And what are the odds? What are the odds it comes down to a flag at the end of the game again?
Yeah, boy, that'd be crazy.
Symmetry.
Yeah. Boy, I'm gonna lean, Drew. I'm gonna lean to the Saints at home. I really like the Vikings this year. They were one of my possible picks for the Super Bowl. I just don't like their first round matchup here. So I'm gonna take the Saints. And the other one, man, I know a lot of people have kind of left the Eagles for dead, and they won a crappy division, not by much, and I get it all, but I tell you what, Seattle's not playing great football, and this is not the Legion of Boom defense anymore. Those days, you need to put the tombstone over the Legion of Boom days. Those days are over. People forget about it. Like they think like Seattle's defense is like eternal. It's not. Yeah. This is not the Seattle Seahawks of old. Russell Wilson's a great quarterback. No one's denying that. But I don't know if they have enough other weapons to make a really good run. I don't know if they have enough weapons to win this game. This one's going to be a close one. Battle of the Birds here. I'm going to lean to the home team with the Eagles. I know a lot of people have already saw some message boards. A lot of people already saying that the Eagles kind of shot their load just getting out of that division, and now they're going to be done. I'm not so sure. I'm not predicting them to win the Super Bowl or even get there, but I think they beat the Seahawks. I just don't think Seattle's got enough firepower to go in to the link and get out of there with a W. And you got look, they're signing guys that haven't played in a year that are playing tonight, and Marshawn Lynch and Robert Turbin. That's where their running backs are right now, and their receivers are not in the right home about. DJ Metcalf's a rookie. Tyler Lockett's fell off the plane he was flying on. He was doing very well. Now he's kind of MIA. I see the Eagles. I wouldn't have said that probably a week ago. But again, it's all matchups, folks. You might say, well, this team ain't going to be very long in the playoffs, even if they get there. But then you see the matchups, and you're like, they're going to win that game. Yeah. And
I completely agree with you. I think those are absolutely excellent picks, and it's really odd. I completely thought the other way around, but Saints and Vikings. All year I've been a massive, massive, massive Viking supporter. I've said it a million times. I thought they had the best roster from top to bottom, from number 1 all the way down to 53. They were the best cumulative group of people in the league, hands down, I thought. But unless Dalvin Cook's going to will them himself, and unless Kirk Cousins just literally cannot play without Dalvin Cook, I just see them getting absolutely blown out by New Orleans. And the thing that scares me the most is their defense is struggling right now. If their defense is going to struggle against New Orleans, Well, here, just take a look at what they did to my wonderful Panthers today, and that'll tell you exactly what this team can do. I've 100% got New Orleans going by in that game. I don't see how they don't. In the other game, Philly and Seattle. A month ago, I would have told you Seattle was one of my Super Bowl favorites. 2 months ago, I would have told you the Eagles were probably some of my Super Bowl favorites. They've seemed to bounce back and forth all the time, and now both of these teams hobble in everywhere. And I really love how Carson Wentz is playing. I love how he's playing right now. I think Miles Sanders was a diamond in the rough that needed the opportunity to be. He needed the opportunity to be a go-to guy, not the fourth option in Carson Wentz's system where he barely touches anything and you got to ease him in. He needed a chance to be the guy. And unfortunately, half the Eagles, anyone that caught a ball in Philly apparently got hurt real fast. And Miles Sanders somehow survived that and he's been phenomenal out of the backfield, wide receiver, everywhere. Having said that, I actually think Marshawn Lynch is going to do this team wonders. I think, if anything, Marshawn Lynch he might not produce a ton, but I think the combination of Lynch and Turbin is going to keep defenses honest enough to where Russell Wilson is able to actually get by them. So when it comes to that Seattle-Philly game, I've actually got cannot believe I'm saying this, but I've actually got the Seattle Seahawks winning this game. I think it's going to be the Seahawks, and I think they're going to go on to play the 49ers, and then I think the Packers are going to end up playing the Saints in what should be a ridiculously fun game. But that's who I got on those two.
Yeah, I think the Saints win. I think it's closer than you alluded to, and I'm gonna take the Eagles. That game's gonna be close. I think they're both gonna be pretty close games. But I'm gonna go Saints, Eagles, and those are my picks. And it's crazy because with when you look at the Eagles and even the Titans pick, those are two teams we really weren't talking about going very far in the postseason. And they may go farther than we actually thought they were going to go.
Yeah, no, I mean, hey, dude, it's the postseason. Absolutely, anything can happen. So, guys, like I said before, please call in. Pats fans, we want to hear from you. I want to hear why the Pats can go to the Super Bowl. But I also want to know, who is your Super Bowl favorite, just like it says below. And then also, John, as we move on here, tomorrow, as you mentioned to me, is Black Monday. Kitchens is already gone. Shocker. Rivera didn't make it through the season. Shocker. But Jason Garrett, now that he will be starting his golfing or whatever, I don't even think he's cool enough to golf. But whatever he does, he's going to start doing that soon. But we want to know who you think is going to get fired this Black Monday. Who's not going to make it? What coaches are gone? Either comment. I'd love it if you just called in. Once again, I'll put that right there. All you have to do is click the link and jump right in. It takes no time at all. So please let us know. One, who gets fired on Black Monday? What coach does not make it through? And two, of course, who is your Super Bowl favorites?
Yeah. But, and with the coaches, hey, is there going to be a surprise? Someone we don't think's in trouble that the team just wants to go in a different direction? Or in reverse, is there a guy we're pretty much assuming is going to be fired, like a Jason Garrett?
Jason Garrett.
And the owner doesn't have the heart to pull the trigger? Is Jason, is Jerry Jones going to look at that 45-17 score today and say, you know what, we're trending in the right direction, so let's give him one more year? He's my boy. I love him.
Yeah, Absolutely. Well, before we get to that a little bit more, I think we do have a guest calling in, a very familiar one, and oh man, I'm glad you called in on this show, my friend. All right. So how's everything going, Mr. Durkee?
Good. We had a good holiday with the family today, and
Nice.
had celebrated the last day of Hanukkah. It was fun.
Sweet. Good deal. Hanukkah, that's fun. I grew up in South Florida, so all my friends celebrate Hanukkah. That's a fun holiday.
It was a good time.
Absolutely. But glad to have you on the show, man. Don't know if you've been listening too much. There's a couple things I wanted to get now that I know you're on the show. There's a couple things we want to ask. But myself and Mr. Newman, we have a question up here earlier in the show that we had. That that was who your Super Bowl favorite was. And we were going through and we were looking at the first round matchups, and your Pats obviously have to play week 1, the postseason. And we got to the Pats game. Both of us, well, John was afraid to say it, I wasn't. But that I don't think the Patriots really, they may get out of round 1, but I see no way that they can make it to the Super Bowl. And I wanted a Pats fan, and obviously I got one of the biggest ones right here. I would like to know, first off, let me ask you, how are the Pats going to make it to the Super Bowl?
They're not. I think we beat the Titans and probably, I hate to say this, lose the KC. But I don't like. I think the initial line on the line for the next week came out at 4.5.
Wow.
I would take the Titans.
Yeah, so you're taking the Titans too. Okay, so you're on the same boat with us. Wow, that's shocking. Okay, I like to.
I'm
like
not
to hear
betting the
that.
game, but if I had a gun to bet and I had to bet the game, I would take the Titans. Only because I think it's going to be. If we win, I think it's going to be a field goal, and God forbid Nick Folk misses.
Yeah. Well, then on that note, since obviously you don't see the Patriots coming out of the first round, who you got as your Super Bowl favorite?
No, I think they'll come out of the first round. Who do I think is the Super Bowl favorite?
Yeah.
Probably the Saints.
Saints.
I think the Saints, well, depending on how this game ends up, because they can be what? If Seattle wins, they're what, the 3 seed?
If Seattle wins, then the Saints are the 3. If the 49ers win, then the
Saints are 2.
2.
Yeah, okay.
Something like that.
But I you know how I feel about the 49ers. I think they're going to lose.
Mr. Newman might have something to say about that.
I tell you the truth, man. I don't think the 49ers are going to win the Super Bowl. Let me start off what I'm about to say.
I don't think they're going to win this game either.
I don't think they're going to Super Bowl, but I would not be shocked if they were in it. I'll say this. I think whoever comes out of the AFC, and my 2 picks are the 1 and 2 seeds in Kansas City and Baltimore. I think whoever wins the AFC championship game is going to win the Super Bowl. I think the AFC this year is, and none against the Saints, they're very, very good. They obviously don't, have the record they do by not being good. But I just think this is a Kansas City, Baltimore type Super Bowl year. So whoever wins, and that's who I see playing each other in the AFC title game. And to me, that the NFC is not going to like what I'm about to say. To me, that AFC championship game is your Super Bowl champ. That's who's winning the Super Bowl. I see it, and I would not be surprised to see the 49ers beat the Saints, let's say, in the NFC. They already beat them in the regular season. I know that means nothing when you get to the postseason. I get that. I don't disagree. But what it shows is they're capable of doing it. So I'm going to say Baltimore, Kansas City, and I'm going to go with the 49ers and probably Saints. I know it's it's chalk. It's sort of chalk, but I think the chalk this year is just so far ahead of that next tier of teams that's how it's going to play out.
Well, it's going to be. What's that?
No, sorry.
No. Go ahead.
I think it's going to be KC Saints.
KC Saints. Okay, I've got Kansas City, and I struggled between the 49ers and the Saints. I know as soon as the 49ers are done, you get to come on and have Jimmy G's funeral. I promised you it is going to happen. We're going to have that for you if it does. But before I let you go,
next week.
Well, then we better start making arrangements, John. But before I let you go, man, we got one other question we wanted to ask everybody today. And, tomorrow's Black Monday. Freddie Kitchens couldn't even make it to Black Monday.
It was Black Sunday for Freddie Kitchens.
Yeah, Jesus. But who do you think gets fired tomorrow? You think a couple coaches go? You think Garrett's gone? Who do you think? What teams are going to make that big switch? Because I think there's going to be quite a few myself.
Did Shermer already get fired?
No.
No, not yet. Not yet.
He's gone. Garrett's gone. Ron Rivera's already out. Those are my two big ones. Who's the Bengals coach? He's probably gone too.
Taylor. He was with McVay in the Rams. He was the offensive coordinator. I think he gets another year, but
he might. Well, they have the number one pick, so if the GM likes him, he might. Wynn's probably going to make it from the Chargers. I think they already said he's coming back.
Really? See, I have him out.
Really?
I thought I saw something that he was already.
Well, okay. You might be right, but that they said that about Freddie Kitchens too.
Yeah,
that did a lot of good. That did him.
I want to know if he even got on the plane ride home. Or if
I don't think he did. I think he knew as soon as that was over with the shitty ass effort they put forth today. He was like, "Yeah, there ain't no need for me to get on this plane ride home. We know what's about to happen."
I have a question for you guys.
Yeah.
Who's the next Cowboys coach if Garrett gets fired?
Oh man, that's a great one.
Well, I'll put it to you this way. I've followed Lincoln Riley for a long time since he was in East Carolina, and I loved him at East Carolina. I hated when we let him go. He said back at East Carolina, even in interviews, and I remember this because I was working in the sports journalism department there. It's what my degree was in.
Cool.
He always said he wanted to go. He always said he wanted to do pro football. Lincoln Riley's going to end up in the pros. I think it was almost a guarantee until until what happened in the bowl game with LSU. Now, whether he's happy with his, probably 3 straight Heisman, becoming a Heisman factory, and then moving on to a team like the Cowboys, who's got players there and a quarterback that fits him perfect. And the things he could do for Dak would be insane. If he was ready to leave and he doesn't want to avenge that shit whipping that he took on Saturday, then I could easily see Lincoln Riley being the next coach of the Cowboys.
Okay. What about you, Joe?
I'm gonna give 2 answers. I'm gonna if they get a college guy, I think it's gonna be Lincoln Riley. I think he's the leader in the clubhouse, as they say. And the dark horse guy, I think if Jones goes with someone who's already in the NFL, I think he's going to try to get the OC from Baltimore. His name's escaping me now. And it's Shamorin. Greg, you know what I'm talking about. The OC from Baltimore, who does not interview well. He's actually interviewed 2 or 3 times for head coaching jobs, and he's not done well in the interview process. So that might be one of those where Jerry just, I like you. If you can say your name during the interview, let's talk money and get this deal done.
I placed a bet on this actually through Bovado. I think it's going to be Mike McCarthy.
Wow.
No, I think he's going to Carolina.
You want him to go to Carolina?
No, he's interviewed twice. I honestly think he's going to Carolina. I don't know if I want him to go to Carolina or not. I'd like to see. I'd like to see who other options were. I mean, if the other options were fucking terrible, then yeah, obviously I want him. But I mean, hell, if Lincoln Riley loved North Carolina so much and wants to come back, then slow your roll, Mike McCarthy. But yeah, I'd love to have him over Ron Rivera and Perry fucking Ellis. No, but but I don't know. I just see it. I see it that way. But who knows? It's gonna be fun to see. But Ryan, man, thanks so much for joining me and for joining us today. And as soon as those playoffs happen, as soon as those 49ers are out, and if they win the Super Bowl, you got to come on too. But look forward to that funeral here in a couple of weeks, my man.
I will see you next weekend in a shirt and tie. See you guys.
See you, man.
You're right.
All right. Well, see, guys, it's simple. You just call in. And John, we've actually got, while we were here, I see a question from In the Longest Yard. And Shikata, she says that we're talking shit about the Packers again. I guess they don't like that we're talking shit about the Packers. So, with that being said, she does say she wants to know if the Packers are one and done or what, and tell us your thoughts. So is Green Bay one and done? Because they'll be playing the highest seed left from the wild card. If San Francisco wins, which it looks like they're going to.
Yeah, I know, I know their record's great. Aaron Jones is playing very well. It looks like they got their running back.
Yeah.
But they just, I don't know, they're in these games where teams they should just run out of the gym, and they're not running them out of the gym. And now you get to this part of the year, Green Bay Packer fans, and there is no run out of the gym type game.
Yeah.
I don't care. Yeah. I don't care who you're playing. If you're playing the worst playoff team in the lot, they still you shouldn't run them out of the gym.
Yeah.
And I don't even know. I've watched a couple games, not as many as obviously Packer fans have. There just seems to be something missing. Aaron Rodgers is not playing great. He's playing good. But I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is good enough to get you out of the NFC. Not this year with New Orleans looking like world beaters and the 49ers just overall are a well-rounded team. So I don't put them ahead of either of those two teams. Yeah. And then you got your Eagles, your Seahawks. I put them right in that tier with the Eagles, Seahawks, and you can make a case for any of those teams to beat each other up. But if they get to the Seahawks and or I should say the Niners or the Saints, I don't see them beating either of one of those teams. And so, if they're the 2 seed, that bodes well for them. If the Eagles win and the Saints win, like I would predict, they're going to get the Eagles, and that's going to be one of those tough games. It could go either way. Talk about an interesting matchup looking ahead. Is that Eagles-Packers game would be one heck of a game.
Well, here's what it comes down to. Assuming San Francisco wins this game, assuming San Francisco wins against Seattle tonight, and this is how it goes. Green Bay is going to play one of these 4 teams, but one of them they don't have a chance to play, and that would be the Vikings. So they know they're not playing the Vikings unless the Vikings were to win and go upset San Francisco or whoever the 1 seed is. It could end up being them. But right now they're the 2. So I'm looking at these games, and I'm looking at Seattle going and playing. I'm looking at Seattle beating the Eagles, honestly. I think Beast Mode has one big game in him, and I think that I think Seattle gets by, like I said, so they play San Francisco. So then you're putting the Saints over at Green Bay. What it's going to come down to, and Green Bay can beat the Saints because the Saints have struggled quite a bit. They can. But the only way that Green Bay is not one and done in this is if Aaron Jones is going to win the games. Because Aaron Rodgers is not going to do it for you. Lazard is not going to do it for you. The passing game is not going to do it for you. The defense is not going to do it for you. It is going to take a lot of Aaron Jones, and it's going to take you're going to see the touchdowns and the open wide receivers are going to come after Aaron Jones runs, after he has made the defense be honest. The Packers are going to go as Aaron Jones goes. If he's fresh, which I do not think he is, I think he's worn the hell down, honestly. And I think you're going to see that once you get, especially if they make it past one of the teams and you get to the championship games and stuff. I just see him wearing down. But if he can be the Aaron Jones we've seen all year and take over a game, then yes, Green Bay can make a run. Do I think they can make the Super Bowl? Absolutely not. I do not think they are in remotely the same class as the 49ers or the Seahawks. Honestly, I don't think the Seahawks should be the 5 seed. And I don't think they're remotely in the same class as either of those teams. And it remains to be seen if they're there with New Orleans. And the only reason I say that is because just like, let's say they play the Saints, it's going to determine who's the better and fresher back, Kamara or Jones. And I'm going to take Kamara in that battle.
Yeah, I think it's setting up. It looks like the Saints are going to be going to Green Bay. If that's the matchup, the only chance that I see Green Bay has to win that game, it's got to be one of them nasty weather days in Green Bay. Snowy, slick turf, kind of neutralizes that New Orleans speed, makes it sort of a smash mouth, slow go of it. I think it takes away the advantage New Orleans has with those track stars that they have. If it's a snowy, frozen tundra, as you know, they used to say, frozen tundra of Lambeau Field, Green Bay has a shot in those conditions. But if it's, just cold, but the field's in good shape, I think New Orleans is going to really put up a big number, probably 30-something points. And I just don't see this Green Bay team this year, I'm talking this year, going score for score with them. So I see like a 35-17 score. But like I said, if the weather conditions are nasty, weather conditions in football is the great equalizer when it comes to speed. And I can tell you that from the high school level of coaching against teams that had a speed advantage of us. I'd watch the weather report, praying for rain or snow or sludge. I wanted that track to be slick to even to negate that advantage or disadvantage that my team would have coming in it. So if that field is nasty and the weather is nasty, that makes it a lot more of an interesting game.
Yeah, no, I could not agree with you more. All right, man. Well, guess we'll move on from some playoff talk now, since we spent quite a bit of time on it today. So let's see. Before we go into what was you renamed it last week? What was it again?
What, Booms and Goats?
Yeah, that was it.
Heroes and Goats.
Yeah. So before we get into our Game Balls and Goats segment, I figured we could go with my favorite segment, and you, of course, know what that is.
Yeah.
But actually, you know what? We're going to go with the Goats first because I want to set up 2 different videos. So why don't we go with our Game Balls and Goats, which if you guys are unfamiliar with this segment, it's kind of like our stock up, stock down. What we do is we pretty much we give you the guys who had a great day, a great week. And then we give you some of the guys that may not have had such a good week. And please, guys, I cannot stress this enough. Please call in and join the show, just like Ryan did. We do have the 2 questions we want to know. Who you think is your Super Bowl favorite and which coach gets fired on Black Monday, because you know there's going to be one. And as always, guys, never forget, don't bet on the Texans ever. All right, Mr. Newman. So we're going to be going with our game balls and goats. So which one are we starting with?
Well, let's start with the game balls.
All
I got
right.
three in each of these. Here's a guy. You know, we talked about the team today.
Mhm.
They didn't win. They didn't win the game, and honestly, he was for the most part playing because they were resting everybody. But
Right.
Michael Boone from the Vikings, 17
Yeah.
carries,
Solid.
148 yards, and what he probably did is he got his next job today. Because he
Yeah.
might not be back with Minnesota. They have obviously Dalvin Cook. They also like Madison, and they got another guy whose name escapes me. So Michael Boone might not be on that team, but the way he played today might get him some consideration on another team, even as a potential starter. You know, coming out of Cincinnati, there was a lot of people that did like him, and today he showed at 17 carries, 148 yards against a pretty good Bears front line. You know, you could say what you want about the Bears, but their defense is actually not too bad. And so he did that against a pretty good front seven. And I think he won himself, if not a starting job, he definitely earned himself a roster spot somewhere with this performance today. My next guy is a guy we talked about Thursday, and you called it for Tampa Bay. Brashard Perryman, 5
Yep.
catches, 134 yards, and a touchdown.
What
And
did
I
I
don't care.
say? What did I say on Thursday?
And regardless of who's playing or who's not playing, that's a game. You have to go out there and do it. He did it. And again, another guy that whether he stays in Tampa Bay or winds up wearing a different jersey next year, he's proven that he can be a viable wide receiver. So he's going to be in the league, and that's kind of what Week 17 really is about. And then on my third guy, another wide receiver again. A team won big. I don't think he'll be on a different team, but I think he's on a team that, you know, I don't know if they like to think Amari Cooper's the one, but I don't know if he's consistent enough. And this guy I really like coming out of college. And I think he might be one of Dallas's most consistent receivers, and that's Michael Gallup.
I knew it. Yeah.
5 catches, 98 yards, a touchdown, and I'm not sure he's not better than Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper might be flashier, but Michael Gallup's kind of that guy I like, is just being consistent. You can kind of count on him. He doesn't disappear as long as the quarterback play is there.
Yeah. Nice. No, I love both of those picks. I don't think Cooper, at least in terms of all that, I honestly don't think that Amari Cooper is underachieving. I just think he needs the right coaching. I think he needs the right people around him, and I don't think they've given him the right people that he needs. I'm hopeful, but I agree with Gallup. If I'm Dallas, Gallup is my number one, and I put Cooper at 2, and I let people learn, and I let that be a chip on Cooper's shoulder and hopefully make him play a little harder. I changed things up, but the Ginger's terrified of doing anything wrong, so that shit ain't happening. But that's what you would hope.
Well, we'll see. Garrett might not be there next year to make that determination.
Exactly, and I would love to see Gallup get a much bigger role because I think he deserves it. And so I completely agree with both of those. Now, for my game balls, I mean, I'm sorry, but I just it's funny. I look at some of the stats here, and it's just really funny to me. My very first one's got to go to the man that I said we probably shouldn't start this week, but then because I didn't think he'd play past halftime, but Alvin Kamara. He hasn't played great all year. He had 2 touchdowns, I believe it was, coming into the game against Carolina. I told you he was going to have a big game. He had a huge game by halftime. He already had 2 touchdowns. I thought they would sit him, but for some reason, Sean Payton wanted to really drub this score in and keep pounding it. They stayed in the whole time. Kamara played phenomenal, and going into the postseason, I see him as just, I mean, he's peaking at the right time, and they kept him fresh. I think they realized they didn't have to win with him all year, and so they kept him fresh. And when they did that, I mean, it worked out. 8 carries, 39 yards, 2 touchdowns, 5 yards a carry he's averaging, and he's scoring when he does it. He didn't even have to touch the ball that much, yet he makes a difference. I mean, I think he showed right there that's all he needed. And then you've got Latavius Murray who can pick up the other junk. So that 1-2 punch there really helps them. But Kamara gets my first game ball. Now, it took me a minute to figure out who I want to give the second game ball to, but I absolutely had to, just because I think he's peaking at the right time. And I think it's going to be, I mean, hell, I'm not going to lie. It's my Super Bowl pick, or at least someone to be in that Super Bowl. And, he's one of those guys that's going to be in it, and that is Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is just phenomenal. I don't know if you saw the rundown he had on McCole Hardman today when he chased him down like his own player when he was scoring a touchdown. It was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. But he draws so much attention from the defense. It's mind-blowing to me. And today, 4 catches, 61 yards off of 5 targets. You can't ask for much more in a game where Mahomes really threw for 174 yards. Did not have to do much. They were destroying the Chargers a lot more than this led on. They're the 2 seed. Mahomes, second game ball of the day. The dude's peaking at the right time. I think this is going to be the year of Mahomes.
Yeah, I think Kansas City is probably my pick to get to the Super Bowl. So I can't argue there. They have too many weapons, and that's why, we talk about the Patriots and Belichick scheming for one guy and kind of eliminating them. He can't do that against Kansas City. So, I like Kansas City.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, now on to our Billy Goats. Bah. Who you got, man?
All right, 3 guys. I know we pick on this guy a lot, and I'm rooting for him. I don't know if it's going to happen with the Rams anymore. I think they're going to have to probably cut the cord. They gave him the ball 20 times today. He rushed for 68 yards, but he doesn't have that burst. He doesn't have that cutback like he once did. And Todd Gurley, yeah. I don't know. I'm sure there's injuries involved, but it's just kind of crazy how someone so quick has become like an ordinary running back from an elite back. And, I know it happens to every running back at some point, but the fact that it happened this fast there is alarming. And I feel terrible for him. But he may just need a change of scenery, and I don't even know if that's going to be what he needs. Because if he just doesn't have it in the legs anymore, you don't have it. So it'll be interesting to see what a change of scenery there will do if he gets it. My second GOAT in the bad way goes to Justin Edelman. Here's a game that New England had to win. To hold on to that bye, and he's your most reliable guy on that team, other than Brady himself.
This was a playoff game. Anyone that thinks New England didn't win that home game is just completely blind to the fact. This game was a must fucking win.
Yeah, three catches, 26 yards. This is a possession receiver that's. They just do bullet passes and short screens, and he gets 7 or 8 catches sometimes by halftime. And so 3 catches for 26 yards in an important game. He, whoever you want to blame, you can blame, but he didn't come up big and get it done. So he makes the list. And this guy probably could make the list every week, this last guy, but I hadn't picked him yet, so I saved the last week. He's kind of your guy, comes from your school, I believe. He's a guy I like coming out of college. Did not get it done in Buffalo. They gave him a change of scenery.
Zay Jones.
He went to Oakland or the Raiders or wherever they play now. And he really looks like the same guy. 2 catches, 21 yards. I think he's got the tools. I just don't know.
He's a third-generation football player. The problem with him, and I actually got a chance to meet him when I went back to East Carolina a couple of years ago, and I met up with a couple of buddies that were on the football team from when I was there still, and now that work on their staff. I got a chance to meet him twice. Laziest dude in the world. Zero work ethic. Was relying total on athletic and God-given ability, and you see the results of it now. It's a disgrace because he is a third-generation player with an incredible family lineage. But dude, I couldn't agree with you more there on Zay Jones.
I like the guy. Maybe I'm a little bit mad. Yeah, maybe I'm a little bit mad from the hobby aspect because I do have some stuff that I initially had put away, thinking he was going to be one of the better wideouts in the NFL. But, and I thought maybe going to Oakland, maybe he needed just a new look, a fresh start, and it really hasn't changed anything. So he makes my list the last week here.
Well, there you go. All right. Well, for my GOATs this week, I've got 2 of them for you this week. And, oh, Lordy. The first one, of course, goes, I love saying this name, and it, of course, is the $30 million man himself, Jameis Winston. This dumbass is going to come out on TV all week talking about how he ain't going to play for a franchise tag, puff your chest all big out and bad, and say you want $30 million, you dumb, crazy son of a bitch. Then you come out to Atlanta against the Falcons, against a god-awful defense. The only thing that changed was their offense got a little bit better once they moved around a couple of personnel. For some God, how Dan Quinn kept his job, by the way, that's a story for a little later. Jesus. But Jameis Winston, you come out after talking about $30 million a year, all this stuff, and about how you're a franchise quarterback. You go into an Atlanta in a game where you should want to. We talked about it Thursday, John. This was an audition for people for his potential suitors because no way the Bucs pay him $30 million. Well, 13 for 24, 201 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Oh, of course, along with 2 rushes for 5 yards. Are you kidding me? Like, yes, Brashard Perryman, which, I mean, I called that one. I told you Winston would play awful, but Perryman would have his. I called this dead on. Perryman, once again, got, 8 out of the 24 targets. So once again, he got most of the offense, period. But Jameis Winston is a joke. And he's in a very big danger of becoming a career backup. He needs to shut his mouth. He needs to forget about the money. He needs to go to a different team, and he needs to take whatever damn contract he gets, and he needs to be grateful for it, because this was just an absolute piss poor, awful display of football today by a guy who, like we said, this was supposed to be his audition.
Yep. I think, it's crazy. I think he's going to wind up starting somewhere else, but that's going to be basically his last chance.
Yeah.
So wherever that somewhere else winds up being, if the results are the same, then like you said, his last 4 to 5 years are going to be holding a clipboard and playing when someone goes down with an injury, or garbage time when they're either up big or down big. Wherever that somewhere else is, he's running, that the sand through that hourglass is getting thinner and towards the end. So he's really got to, whatever the issues is or are, he's got to really, some of his without, being a Bucks fan. I've read some things, we talked about Zay Jones and work ethic. I've heard similar things with Jameis. So he's really got to decide what he wants the remainder of his career to really be about as a starter material, or I'm just going to cash checks and hold clipboards, because he can do that too. He has enough talent. Whatever we think about him, he's going to be in the league another 7 to 9 years as long as he wants to be. But what does he want those 7 to 9 years be about? Being a clipboard holder or figuring things out, getting to work, putting in the effort, and becoming a more polished NFL quarterback with less mistakes, less picks, and putting his team in position to win games, not to lose games. And that's going to be on Jameis really to decide, truthfully.
Yep. All right. And for my last GOAT, I actually do have 2 GOATs of the week this week. And my second GOAT just goes to the person that I expected to give it to him this week. We talked about it on Thursday. I had a feeling that it was going to come to him. I didn't even really have to look too much. But Baker Mayfield, going into a game, you're literally 6-9 already. So you can at least get to 7-9, at least somewhat respectable, I guess. For a team that's been perpetually bad, you're playing the 1-14 Bengals at the time, the team that's locked up the number 1 overall pick. And I told you, I did not think that this team could get up and get motivated enough to play against even this bad of a team. What goes out and happens? Well, Baker Mayfield goes 12 of 27 for 279 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. That's Jameis Winston numbers at best. I mean, let's be honest. It's Jameis Winston at best. If that's who Cleveland wants to be the savior of their franchise, whoop-de-doo. That's great. Have fun with it, but you're never going anywhere. You're never making it past the first round of the playoffs if you ever finally get there again. Freddie Kitchens deserved to be gone right away. I don't think he was the whole problem. I think you're going to need somebody like a Mike Tomlin or someone that can come in there and change the culture, as in to walk into Baker, OBJ, Jarvis, all these guys and sit them down and be like, dude, you can act like a grown-ass man or you can get the hell out of here. Because this is just a bunch of children playing football. I think they're a complete and total joke, and they should be embarrassed that they put out a 6-10 record after all the bullshit that they all talked about, their fans all talked about. They weren't hurt. There weren't injuries. This was just a complete and total joke. Baker didn't study. He relied on people getting the players for him, getting stars for him like he wanted. And he thought he could just coast through on his quote-unquote God-given talent. Well, nobody. And, you've got my GOAT of the week. Baker's just a joke.
Yeah, Baker. Well, Kitchens lost that team, lost that clubhouse. And
Baker's got to rally him.
Kitchens was supposed to help Baker being an offensive guy. And what did Baker go out and do after a stellar rookie year? 15 touchdowns, 16 picks. He threw more interceptions than touchdowns. And, that's a great question right there on the screen.
I know. We're about to ask it in just a minute.
Baker definitely, if there was a season GOAT in a bad way, Baker would probably get my season one, because what a drop off from that stellar rookie season to what we saw this year. And like you said, it isn't all the coach's fault. You got to go out there and make plays. You got to be a voice of reason.
You got to rally that team. Yeah, you got to be the fucking man.
I think he was too busy doing those Progressive commercials with him in the stadium like he lived there.
whatever it is, it was a complete and total joke. And if I didn't give Will Greer a goat today, then you had to play like shit. So congrats, Baker. But before we go on to Shit Whip of the Week, we have a great question by a buddy of mine, Scott Hamby, who says, do you think RG3 was good enough today to earn him another starting job? And Mr. Newman, I know you watched this game, so I'm going to let you take this one first.
I watched this game. He played well. He was a little frantic at times. The one thing that's going to be good, he's gonna get a job, whether it stays in Baltimore or goes somewhere else. But the question said starting job. He's capable. We'll have to see where those chips sort of fall. You got some rookie quarterbacks coming in. You got some guys like Foles that might have new addresses next year. Teddy Bridgewater. A lot of it's obviously going to be who goes where and how it shakes out and who moves on from somewhere else. You know what I mean? If Tampa Bay moves away from Winston, who do they go and get? You know what I mean? Will it be Bridgewater? Will they bring RG3 in and say he's just a smarter guy? We'll go the smarter guy route. So, yeah, I think he could be. But, again, he's not young either. But the one thing he's got going for him, because he hasn't started in years, he doesn't have that tread on the tire like some quarterbacks or running backs typically do. So, I think he could be. He played well enough today to me. That defense that he went up against in Pittsburgh is a good one, and he did that against them. So, he could be a guy that is a number one quarterback next year, but a lot of it's going to be on who goes where and how it shakes out. I don't think he's in the same class as Bridgewater. I think that's tier one. Right. I look at it as RG3 is kind of tier 2, tier 3, depending on what happens with those tier 1 guys.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think he played well enough today to have some big ass bidding war for his services next year.
No,
on a team. But yeah, did he do a good old little Teddy Bridgewater a couple year ago impersonation and says, hey, maybe throw me on and give me another shot? Yeah, and maybe if I'm RG3, I don't sign with a team right away. Maybe I sign with one and go through training camp. But if I get cut, I'm fine with that. And I sit on the free agency area and I wait until I see a team that needs me. I go out there, show them I can do it. I think that's his best path into a starting job. If he ever wants a starting job, is he's going to have to sit on the sidelines and maybe not play football. But then when the opportunity comes, step up and show he can play. Otherwise, I think he's pretty much, he's old to begin with, not to mention all the injuries. But otherwise, he's a solid backup, and there's nothing wrong with that. He came in today and played a great game. That's what you want from a backup. And a lot of backups that spend their career as a backup enjoy that role because they know they're not leading teams to a Super Bowl if they play 17 games. And Derek Anderson was always famous talking about that. And so I don't know. I think he could get another starting job, but I don't know. But great question, Scott. But John, running a little fast tonight. We got 2 more segments to get to. So first things first, you know what time it is now, right? You've got to know. It's time
Shit Whip of the Week.
Of course it is. If you're new to the show, well, here you go. Enjoy. And John, what's been the running theme of Shit Whip of the Week?
Well, we haven't had a lot of defensive guys getting this thing until last week.
Yeah, it's always offensive players laying the smackdown on defense, isn't it? Well,
yeah, it's crazy.
Well, let's see if that changes. Last week we did have a defender, but let's see if we can get 2 weeks in a row as we go to our Shit Whip of the Week. And as I said, first we got the Mr. Dak, and Bitch, get down. Nope, we did not get a defender, as we once again got an offensive player for our shit whip of the week. I love it.
The only way I'd feel real good about that if that was Josh Norman. I don't know who that was.
Yeah, but just look at this. This is beautiful. Like, he comes in, oh yeah, I got this. I'm all hard and shit. Bitch, get out of here. Like, that's beautiful. Like, that's just, I put it in slow-mo for you. Just get down. So, Mr. Auto Pen himself is the winner of Shit Whip of the Week.
There you go.
One day, man, we're gonna, I swear to you guys,
2 weeks in a row.
We're gonna have 2 weeks in a row of a defender, actually.
Well, we're gonna. I'm assuming we're gonna do it during the playoffs here. So
we are.
Yeah, we'll get some defensive ones in the playoffs.
Shit whip of the week never ends, my friend. That's I don't know what I'd do without it.
I'll tell you the truth, man. If we counted college ones, we definitely have some candidates. They still let They still let them hit there. So.
Oh yeah. All right, guys. Well, before we wrap everything up today, and by the way, please call in if you'd like to let us know who's your Super Bowl favorite and what coach gets fired on Black Monday, or if you have any questions for us, please let us know. But before we wrap up everything today, John, you and I were talking, and it's the end of the season, but it's also the end of the show, and it's the end of week 17. So I guess we got to reflect a little bit and figure out on, hey, what, if anything, did we learn today? So what'd you learn today, John?
What I learned today, Patriot fans aren't going to like what I learned today. What I learned today is this is not the Patriots of old. This is not going to be a Super Bowl type team. And so they may be they could be one and done, and they're definitely probably two and done. But I'm very comfortable in saying that the Super Bowl is not going to run through Foxborough in 2020.
Yeah, no, I'd have to agree with you there. And I learned a couple of things today. One thing I learned today is exactly what you said, is that the Patriots, just reaffirmed what I believed for a while, but it's that the Patriots are just not that team. They're not going to be the ones that can go. But what I really learned today was that Kansas City is the real deal. The defense is the real deal. The offense is the real deal. Mahomes is the real deal. I look at this team now and I see absolutely, I see very little flaws. And I'd love to see some teams take away this certain part of something because they can beat you so many different ways. What I kind of learned today was, after watching everything that I saw, especially over Christmas and everything, was that they're heads and shoulders above other teams. And so I love Kansas City right now.
I like them too. They're my pick. Here's the one thing that makes me nervous. It's Andy Reid. It's Andy Reid, man. He's track record of great regular season coach and not getting it done in crunch time. So is this the year? I'm predicting him to go to the Super Bowl. So, but is this the year? It's the monkey on Andy Reid's back. That's a big monkey because that's a big back.
Big ass monkey.
So is this the year? Yeah, is this the year Andy Reid grabs that monkey and throws him against the wall? Because if it doesn't, he's got, like you said, there's really no deficits with this team. The defense is starting to play a lot better. That offense is probably one of the better ones in the league. This is all lining up for him. And so if it doesn't happen now, it's going to be that guy that just can't get it done, Kansas City fired a coach that went 14-2. Remember that? And shot Marty because they didn't feel like he was going to be the guy that could get them where they wanted to go. To me, if Andy Reid doesn't get to the Super Bowl, then it's you really have to look at that and say, is this the right guy? Like this, the ingredients to the soup is all there, but do we have the right chef? Coming out of the kitchen with this, and so there's that pressure that he's probably going to feel, and how do they respond?
Yep. Well, one thing for sure, it's going to be quite interesting. But y'all, that's going to wrap it up for week 17, the end of the regular season here at Roughing the Passer. But we will be back on Thursday with our very first. We're starting everything over, as Mr. Newman whooped my ass on the picks the first time. So we're starting everything over for the playoffs. We're going to get you guys ready so you can win your DFS tournaments in the postseason, because I've got some tips to really help you guys win some of these lineups. And the playoffs is when you can cash in. But Thursday we'll be going all over all of our picks for wild card weekend and everything, just as always. But make sure you also check out Mr. Newman's show this week. John, you had a wonderful episode. I listened to it today with Mr. Carlin from Upper Deck.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a lot of fun. Yeah. And this week we're taking it back really old school. Anson Whaley's known as Pre-War Cards on Twitter. Very knowledgeable. I'll call him an expert on the pre-war cards portion of the hobby. And
he's a great guy.
Yep. And it's something we don't, I think both of us, it's not the biggest segment of the hobby. So we don't cover it probably, as much as other ones, understandably. But I also didn't want to completely ignore it. So I thought it was a great opportunity to have Anson on and appease that niche of the hobby as well.
Absolutely. Well, I can't wait to hear that episode. If you guys haven't, definitely check out Sports Card Nation. He's got an excellent podcast with Chris Carlin this week. And let me get that potograph, the Christmas, New Year's, end of year episode. It's a big episode. We last minute decided to make it a whole lot bigger and a whole lot crazier than we thought. So that'll be out here tomorrow as well. So we will talk to you guys soon. Till Thursday. Peace.
See ya.